The first story that you're going to hear tonight is from a kid named Ian. His story is awesome. So, please welcome Ian.
Yeah, 1, 2. 1, 2? Yeah. All right. Hi, guys. My name is Ian Glatz. I'm a sophomore at El Toro, and this is my story. I grew up in a Christian home in Hemet, California. My family consists of a loving mother and father who both worked hard mornings and into the nights, an older brother, and a little sister. We went to the local Calvary Chapel, but I was so young I didn't understand any of it. I just memorized the verses so I can get a new badge at the end of the week. Although my dad was the one that started us off going to church, he wasn't the best role model for us. My dad was a very violent person. He would react violently to the simplest things. My dad had a drinking and drug problem off and on in his whole life. He would recover only to start again. Life really changed when my mom started traveling with her job. My dad became paranoid and would argue a lot over the phone. When I was 8 years old, my family relocated to Aliso Viejo. My grades dropped and my family's faith in Jesus Christ seemed lost. To escape the drama at home, I started playing tennis near our apartment. As if my dad's drinking and drug problem wasn't enough, he was also diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and bipolar disease. Talk about moody. One day, my dad had a violent outburst with my mom, and I was first to grab the phone. I was arguing with myself whether I should call 911 or just put the phone back. After about 5 minutes of fighting with myself, I called. My dad was taken away, and my mom wasn't injured. Not long before my 9th birthday, my mom moved across the street to live with my aunt. I could do whatever I wanted at that point. She would come over some evenings and in the mornings to get us ready for school. Finally, the day had come that I was 9, and all I asked for was a tennis racket. That is exactly what I got. But that wasn't all that happened that day. My dad broke down again and became violent, and he also gave threats of suicide. He had to be committed and stayed in the hospital for months. During that time, we moved in with my mom and aunt, and I slept in the living room floor with my brother on a cot, while my sister slept in my mom's room. We stayed in the apartment like that for almost a year, while my dad moved around and tried getting better. Soon, my mom and dad divorced. My dad finally started getting better, only to fail once he broke his back in a motorcycle accident and started abusing the drugs that were given to him for the pain. He was drinking, abusing the scripts, smoking marijuana all the time. He also started cutting himself out of the depression. I came home from school one day, and my grandma was there to babysit like usual, but my dad wasn't. My mom called that night and said, "I'm coming to pick you up tomorrow." I was confused, and I didn't know what to do but pack. I didn't know what happened to my dad, just thought that he was at the hospital again. It turns out he wasn't. He was in jail. We moved into a tiny 2-bedroom place with 6 people for a few months, and then into a huge house with my aunt. I was 10, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity to start over. After 5 schools in the 5th grade, I was ready for some stability. Wasn't long after that my mom remarried. In junior high, where my own life started to fall apart, I started smoking weed and got into a lot of trouble with friends. Smoking was my way of escaping life because I didn't have tennis anymore. I even began having unhealthy relationships with girls and made mistakes and regret all the bad choices that I made with my past relationships. I have lived with my mom since my dad went to jail. It seems like the time that my dad started getting better, my life was falling apart. I started smoking every day and stealing alcohol from my parents to drink with my friends. My grades had dropped, and I was constantly grounded. I would get punished, but not enough to make me quit all the bad things I was doing. My dad was very disappointed since he had really tried cleaning himself up to set a good example. I was 13, and my dad moved close so we can spend more time with him, all just for him to move away again, this time out of state. I was at a wall in my mind. I started lighting fires almost every day with friends after school. We lit the fires with almost anything we can get our hands on. The next day, fire authorities came to my school and pointed me out. I was suspended for 5 days and almost expelled. After all this, I opened my eyes to the pain I caused my mother from me smoking and getting into trouble with friends. Then hearing how disappointed my dad was, I had to do something. I had visited my dad during spring break of 2010, right before his birthday. Little did I know that this would be the last time I saw him alive. We had a good visit, but he wasn't feeling well. He actually spent his birthday in the hospital for a few weeks. Later, the doctors thought that they had fixed everything. Days later, my dad was dead. This devastated me. My dad was straightening out his life and cleaned himself up completely, and then he was taken from me, from all of us. I didn't know where to go or what to do. I was so lost, I thought about my friend that I went to Wildside with a couple of times. I knew I could go to her for anything, and that she would comfort me in my time of need. She was a very good friend of mine. She even came to my dad's memorial to support me. I asked myself what it was that made her such a great person. I finally thought that I should maybe go to church with her to find out. When I came to church that summer, I had attended the HSM service, and though I can't recall what the service was about, I did hear them saying something about finding somebody in an HSM shirt. I found one and ended up talking and praying with him. I had committed my life to Christ right there. That decision changed my life entirely. I asked the leader what I could do to get more connected, and he pointed me in the right direction. By the grace of God, my soul was saved, and now I don't hold on to all the regrets that I had in life. Making that decision to get more connected was the best I have ever made in my life. I entered a life group last year and led by two of the greatest men I know, and is filled with guys I have built relationships with that will last forever. I started volunteering shortly after I joined my life group. Volunteering in the tech arts ministry here at Saddleback is where my heart is. And doing so with my life group is a gift given to me by God. These people I've shared my lives with are there for me whenever I need them and have got my back for anything. My life drastically changed after I came to God, and I thank God every day for the blessings that he's given me. I know that I'm still a work in progress, but I am committed to being who God wants me to be. Thanks for listening to my story.